Welcome back to New Day Northwest and our spring home improvement special. You know, as we talk about working on our homes, many scholars are thinking about a bigger picture in developing our neighborhoods and cities. Urban Cascadia and the Pursuit of Environmental Justice is a new book looking at the different aspects of urbanism and the hope of making the Northwest a better place for everyone.
Cascadia is known for leading the way in new ideas and practices of green urbanism and environmental sustainability. In our book, Urban Cascadia and the Pursuit of Environmental Justice, we wanted to take a closer look at both what makes the region great, but also the serious challenges facing the region. And that's why we hone in on the legacies and impacts of urbanization, settler colonialism, and urban environmental inequalities. At the same time, we're also highlighting the amazing work that people, environmental justice organizations, and even local governments are taking to make the region a better place for everyone.
Well, that's good news. So, Corina, what does the term Urban Cascadia mean?
So the concept of Cascadia emerged in the 70s, and the idea was that there's a shared bioregion that stretches from southern British Columbia through the Pacific Northwest, and that this shared bioregion had the potential to be a democratic green utopia. So since the 70s, the concept has been used in a variety of ways by environmentalists, by politicians, even by corporate actors and corporations. And it tends to try to create a shared identity among the region, often attached to ideas of nature, to green cities, to environmentalism. And we build on that by talking about urban Cascadia. And what we mean by that is we want to focus on the processes of urbanization that have built the region. And so we mean not just the major cities, but the infrastructure that connects the cities with more rural areas, with the built and natural environment that ties everyone together, as well as the shared histories. And we think it's a really useful concept to think about the ways that processes of urban development have shaped the region.
And they really have exceedingly in the last, decade or so. Nick, what are some of the challenges our region specifically is facing right now?
We specifically focus on challenges of the legacies of settler colonialism, of housing affordability and displacement, pollution, and climate change. So first of all, many of the chapters detail the ongoing efforts of Indigenous people for self-determination and really kind of highlight the enormous role that they've played in shaping the urban and environmental politics of the region. The book also highlights problems of housing that people are probably familiar with in Seattle and Vancouver, particularly. These cities are sort of considered progressive and green. They've become the engines of the sort of Cascadian economy. But related to this, they've also become so expensive that many people find it hard to live there, to afford to live there. And lastly, the book focuses on the sort of problematic legacies of industrial pollution. Say, for example, in the Duwamish River there in Seattle, also say the Willamette River in Portland. These rivers were polluted over 100 years ago. And today they're home to very diverse working class communities. And it's a generation or two later that are fighting to clean up these rivers and to protect their communities.
Earlier, you mentioned that there is a positive side of this. Folks are working to handle this. And like you just mentioned with the river and in cleanup of the environment, how are people, I guess, working to address these challenges, Corina?
Yeah, so it is really an exciting region to look at because of just the huge number of people and organizations that are invested in making Cascadia a great place. So we have a chapter in the book that looks at the Puyallup tribe's decade-long work to reestablish tribal sovereignty and fishing rights. There's a chapter that investigates housing justice activism in Seattle. There's a chapter on the Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition. A chapter that Nick and I wrote actually looks at efforts to stop new fossil fuel infrastructure in the region. And these are efforts to achieve environmental justice, to address climate change, and to create a region that is truly environmentally sustainable and socially just that includes all people.